You knock on my door? Come on in. How are you, darling? No, nice to see you. Come on in. Do you mind if I slip into something more comfortable? Like this chair.
This wheelchair?
This wheelchair.
This is a great space.
It's a really great entertaining place. We have a lot of parties in this room. This piano's had a good flogging.
Do you play?
I can dabble a little bit.
I play.
Yeah, you can give me a song then?
I'll give you a song in a moment. What on earth have you done to yourself?
I was doing a show in Mount Isa at a rodeo, and halfway through the show, I went to walk to the side of the stage to talk to one of my roadies about something, and unbeknownst to me or anybody else, there was a gap in the stage. It wasn't lit and it wasn't marked, and I just walked across and fell straight through this hole and nearly broke my leg. But I managed to get up. I was mid-show. You know, the old show must go on, you know?
Yes.
So I limped out, and luckily for me, you know, people hardly noticed because I screamed that much anyway. So.
Oh, he's still singing.
Oh, he's screaming really well tonight.
We know Jimmy Barnes is the tough, hard-living rock and roll singer. But before all that, he was little James Swan from the mean streets of Glasgow.
We'd be kicking cans, you know, footballs down streets like this, and we'd be in shorts and, you know, like cut-off jumpers.
In his new documentary, Working Class Boy, Jimmy opens up about his extraordinarily violent and traumatic childhood.
My big sister got attacked out in the back of one of these apartments. This guy tried to rape her, and they caught him. Glaswegian justice, the way the police were. At the time, my dad was featherweight champion boxer of Britain, and he was hard. They took my dad down to the jail and put him in the cell with this guy who tried to attack his daughter and left him there for an hour. My dad nearly beat him to death. Jimmy's
dad, Jim, was a dangerous alcoholic who treated his wife Dot and their 6 children with a mixture of violence and neglect. In 1962, the family moved to Australia. Jimmy was 5.
My mum thought, you know, if we left Glasgow, my dad would stop drinking and womanising and gambling and fighting, and he didn't.
After a few years, Dot simply left and didn't come back.
I just woke up one day and she was gone.
And she left 6 children.
6 children, and this is what makes me angry, you see. I mean, she left because there was too abusive a relationship to be in, and it was dangerous for her. But she left us there, and still in the same danger. And when she went away, we were so neglected.
Neglected in what way?
Well, you know, there was sexual abuse from, you know, people in our house. My dad drank everything. We had no money. We were starving. My big sister would steal money from my dad's trousers when he would pass out drunk so she could feed us, you know, and she was 11. Ultimately, the hardest thing that I've had to deal with is the realization that, you know, our parents didn't care. They wouldn't have let that happen. I wouldn't let that happen to my child.
Jimmy says his first good role model was Reg Barnes.
I've took that name because, you know, he's the person I'm proud of, and he's the person I wanted to please. He married my mum, and not because he loved her. He married her to save us. He knew that she needed to have a home and a husband to take her children, otherwise we were going to be taken as wards of the state. And I was pretty damaged goods by the time I'd met Reg, and he shone a bit of light on the darkness, you know. So it was really special, you know.
But Jimmy grew into a wild teenager, running with gangs in the North Adelaide town of Elizabeth.
Every night of the week, we'd go down to the shopping centre, get drunk, take speed, and start fights. So I used to talk to guys and said, come here, there'll be some good fights if we go up to the Apollo Stadium, which is in Adelaide, right? We'd kick the door in, charge through the bouncers, you know, they'd catch 1 or 2 of us, and the rest of us would get in. They liked it because they were being hoodlums. I liked it because I get to see music. And I remember one night I went there, and Ike and Tina Turner were playing, and I went straight down the front, and I literally stood in the front row and like that, and Tina was there. It was so exciting. She was incredible, and she shrieked. She's one of my favorite singers. I can blame Tina for the way I scream. I remember seeing them that night and thinking, that's what I'm going to do. That's really what I'm going to do.
And do it, he did. Having played in a band with his older brother John, in 1973 he joined a group called Orange. They soon changed their name to Cold Chisel and became one of the country's biggest ever rock acts. When I think back to my days as a teenager watching Countdown, and I think about all of the iconic bands in excess, Ted Mulry Gang, My Sex, AC/DC. Yeah. The lead singers of so many of those bands are no longer with us.
Yeah.
Why have you survived?
Well, I guess I think one of the things I got from my parents, all their mistakes was I've got tough genes, tough Glaswegian genes, and I have incredible survival instincts. I managed to survive, stuff by the time I was 8 years old that most people wouldn't survive.
But the rock and roll lifestyle is not exactly an angelic one. There's a lot of temptation.
I was made for it.
Particularly when you're the lead singer.
Yeah. I was made for it. I was couldn't get any wilder.
But at the height of the band's success and Jimmy's debauchery, he met the love of his life.
Jane and I, somehow we fell into each other's arms, and I adored her. I loved her from the minute I seen her, but I don't think I really knew what love was until, what time is it? Not that long.
But you met in 1979 as Chisel is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Out of control.
Totally out of control.
Yeah.
How do you keep not only a relationship, but a marriage alive?
Well, a lot of things Jane didn't know about.
Have you told her now?
Yeah, she knows everything.
Everything?
She knows everything I've
There's
ever
no
done.
secrets.
I have no secrets. I'm an open book, which is just,
And
it's
she's
frightening.
still married
and
to
she
you.
still likes me.
Did you do things during those early days of Cold Chisel that you regret?
Regret's a hard word. I mean, if I hadn't been as wild as I was, I wouldn't have been in a band. I wouldn't have been in Canberra on the 29th of November 1979. At the Motel 7 and bumped into Jane Barnes. Jane Mahoney. See, I just wouldn't have. Everything led me to where I am. You can look back and say, well, I'm maybe not proud of it, but you can't regret it.
What's been your greatest thrill professionally?
Pretty hard to get past working with Tina. If I had to pick something else, I'd say probably the opportunity to work with my kids. So I get to go up on stage most nights with my son playing drums, who's an incredible musician, and my girls singing with me. And we get up and we share the stage to go through music where it's been really painful and suffering and trying to cope and to come out the other end, and I'm up there and it's still as wild, it's still as passionate, it's still as emotional, and you're there sharing it with your family. Pretty bloody special.
And your extraordinarily talented son, David.
David. I mean, getting to sing with David. I didn't orchestrate this to sort of as a way to sort of bring us closer, but it was strange that that's what it was.
And I saw some footage the other day of little Betty singing to her godmother, Magda Zabansky.
Blackbird singing in the devil night.
Blackbird singing in the devil night.
The singing gene is coming through.
She's pretty good pitch. I think she's going to be a belter. I must admit. I feel, it's good. I could get used to it at least. The bad thing is, if you're no good, I can't escape.
Yes.
No, I'm a captive audience. You're really good. There could be an opening in my band, at least.
It's terrible. Tell me it's terrible.
No, you're wonderful. Come on.
Thank you for putting up with me.
Nice to have you in the house.
And you look after yourself.
I will, don't worry. Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too.